Hello, my Italian food fanatics. Today, we're going to make a Sicilian dish, but with red snapper. It's red snapper fried with sweet and sour red onions. It's very simple. It's easy to do. It's fast. We're going to add some capers in there. So, let's not waste any more time. Before we go into the kitchen, though, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, hit the bell button so you know when I release another video. And I want you to know that. I hope I'm giving you some value. Share with your friends. Sharing is caring. And leave a comment down below if you have a moment. If you've gotten this far, I hope you have a moment to just write me something. Doesn't matter what it is, that you like it, that you have different ideas, whatever. I respond to all comments. All right. With all of that business out of the way, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the kitchen and make this wonderful Sicilian dish. All right, for our red snapper with sweet and sour red onions, or agrodolce, which is what it means. Aggravate, which would be the sour, and dolce, which would be the sweet. We're going to need some red snapper. We're going to clean these up in just a second. We'll use some capers. We're going to dredge the fish in flour, and then we're going to fry it in 100% California extra virgin olive oil. Now, for our sweet and sour onions, we'll use a red onion because the difference in color, the color change is very nice, especially along with the green capers. We'll use some vinegar, which would be the agro, and then some honey, which would be the dolce. All right? Very simple. Of course, we'll use salt and pepper as well, but that's about it. So, let's process these ingredients, and I'll be right back. All right, as you can see, I've sliced our onions from pole to pole, sideways, so they retain their integrity and they look nice. Now, let's turn our attention to the fish. There's very little to do in this recipe, and that's why it's such a great thing. Because not only can you make it up very quickly, but everything's fresh and it can be put together in minutes. We're going to trim this part of the fish off. We don't want that. Okay, we're going to trim this end here. That is not that nice. And everything else, for the most part, is in order. All right, let's turn this over and look. Very, very nice. Now we want to kind of slice this into two pieces, and we'll do that like this. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other piece of fish as well. So we'll have 4 nice pieces, and then we'll go to the stove. All right, as you can see, I've done that with the second piece here, and now we're going to give them a little bit of salt. We don't want a lot of salt because remember, there's capers involved as well, but we do want to season the fish. And you'll notice that I cut the fish on a bias this way. That makes it look a lot nicer on the plate later on, or on the platter in this case. So we'll just salt a tiny little bit, not too much. And we'll then dredge them in flour, and we'll go onto the stove. I'll be back. All right, let's start with our sweet and sour onions. I've put a small frying pan on the fire with some olive oil. This is an 8-inch pan. It's really not that big. And there's a reason for that. It's because we don't want to overcook the onions. We want to cook them, but we want them to still have somewhat of a bite left. So I'll come back when this is at temperature. All right, the oil's been heating up for just a couple of seconds here, maybe about a minute or so. We'll put in our onions, still keeping the temperature pretty high, because as soon as these onions go into that pan, what happens? The temperature instantly goes down, and so we need to keep the heat up. So let these, we're going to mix these up a little bit in the oil, and then we'll add our vinegar, a little salt and pepper, and our honey to make it agrodolce. You can almost hear them starting to sizzle, and that's exactly what we want. Then we'll put them on the back burner on a very, very low flame while we make the fish. All right, you can see that our onions are starting to fry up a little bit. I'm now going to turn this all the way down. We'll add in our vinegar. We'll add in some honey, about the same amount of honey as vinegar. And that should do it. Then we're going to add in a little bit of salt. Not too much. and a few grinds of pepper. That should do it right there. And let me tell you, the perfume that's coming off of this is just out of this world already. It doesn't seem like it would, but you can just smell the difference between the vinegar and the sweet honey and the onions, and you know this is going to be delicious. You could eat these on their own almost. That's how wonderful this particular preparation is. So I'm going to let this come back up to temperature, and we'll put it on the back burner, and so it will slowly cook away and just basically soften the onions, but without letting them lose their bite, a little bit of bite. Okay, you want to make them a little bit milder than they would be, and it depends too on the onion. If they're very high in sulfur content, they're going to be much more pungent and strong. But these are nice. So I'll put these on the back burner, and we'll turn our attention to our fish. All right, I've pulled out a little bit larger frying pan now, and I've put regular olive oil in here, just in the interests of being completely honest with you, to shallow fry and use up really expensive olive oil makes no sense to me. So, especially because these fish are going to fry very briefly, and then what are we going to do with this oil? Who knows? But we can't really reuse it because of the fish, and you can't keep it because of the fish again. So I've turned the heat up. We're going to let this come up to temperature, and then we'll quickly cook the fish. It takes literally no time at all, maybe a minute on each side, and that's about it. Very simple recipe, very easy to do, but extremely delicious if you have fresh ingredients. I'll be back. All right, our oil has come up to temperature. I've dredged the pieces of fish in flour, and I have knocked off the excess, and now we're going to place them into the oil. Place them away from you so that you don't get burned, and it's very simple. There's that, and one more piece. And they literally will cook for 1 minute until we get a tiny bit of browning, and then we'll take them out. I'll see you in a bit. All right, you'll notice how little I touched the fish, and they should now be basically done. They are. They're extremely fragile now. So what we're going to do is use a fish slice and pull them out, and I'm going to drain them on some paper towels on a plate, just like this. Well, my Italian food fanatics, you saw me cook it up, you saw me dish it up, now it's time to eat it up. I'm going to take a little bit from here, and we'll put it on a separate plate because I don't want to take off the platter. And let's see if this is any good. Oh boy. The fish is perfectly cooked. It has a slight crust to it, but it's juicy, it's tender, it's moist. And then those onions, they still have their integrity, and the sweet and sour of the onions goes perfectly with the fish. And of course, the tiny bit of saltiness from the capers adds a je ne sais quoi that is unmatched. With fresh fish like this, it's best to do as little as possible and to just serve things very simply, and that is the secret to Italian food. Take the best possible ingredients, do as little as you can to them, and then serve them. So, I want you to try this. It's fast, it's easy, but you have to have fresh fish, all right? So, before I let you go, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, hit the bell button so you know when I release another video. I want you to know when I release another video. Share with your friends. Sharing is caring. And leave a comment down below if you have a moment. If you've gotten this far, I know you have a moment. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a great day. I want to thank you very much for following my channel. I wish you good health, happiness, and prosperity. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.